U.S. Senators Lindsey Graham and John McCain arrived in Cairo, Egypt on Monday to join a mediation envoy made up of U.S. Representative William Burns, Bernardino Leon of the EU, and foreign ministers from Qatar and the United Arab Emirates. The statesmen, who are in Egypt as representatives of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and not the Obama administration, have urged the interim government and Muslim Brotherhood to dialogue. Coming down clearly on the military ousting of former President Mohamed Morsi as a coup d'etat, Senator Graham said the U.S. did not suspend aid because it would have possibly given the impression they were siding with the Muslim Brotherhood. Holding the disposition that the U.S. prioritizes a resolution where violence does not escalate, they urged the interim government to release prisoners of the Muslim Brotherhood to allow a quick return to national dialogue. Addressing journalists in Cairo, both senators advanced statements on the difficulty of dialogue being achieved with someone who is in jail. Despite their noble intentions, some supporters of both the interim government and Muslim Brotherhood have said outside mediators should not interfere in Egypt's political affairs. Security has increased in Ghana's capital, Accra, and other major cities ahead of an anticipated pronouncement of the country's Supreme Court concerning a dispute over the 2012 presidential elections. Citing alleged vote rigging and other irregularities, the main opposition, the New Patriotic Party, NPP, petitioned the court to challenge the victory awarded to incumbent President John Dramani Mahama of the ruling National Democratic Congress, NDC. Ghana's Independent Electoral Commission, the INEC, announced Mahama as winner of the presidential vote with 50.7%. The slight margin above 50% was accepted as just enough to avoid a runoff with the opposition challenger Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Felix Afosu-Kwakye, Deputy Information Minister, has stated the government has put in place extra security to ensure the country stay peaceful after the Supreme Court gives its ruling. Though there are some fears violent clashes could erupt, Afosu-Kwakye has said Ghana has held 6 elections since 1992, and the results have all been accepted without fighting. Analysts have instead put forth the fact the Supreme Court accepting to process the petition put forth by the NPP demonstrates the effectiveness of Ghana's democracy. A remark by Tunisia's leader of the Ennahda party has been reiterated in the international media, affirming the government will not be intimidated by protests to dissolve. Speaking on Tuesday, Rashid Ghannouchi pronounced, quote, "In democratic regimes, protests don't change governments. It's under dictatorial regimes that a demonstration is able to topple a regime," unquote. He went further to criticize the excessive demands for the resignation of the elected government. Complaining to the lack of patience to allow the transitional administration achieve its objective, Ghannouchi said, quote, "Unfortunately, every time a tragedy hits us, we immediately call for the dissolution of the government and parliament," unquote. Opponents of the Ennahda-led coalition government have criticized it for failing to suppress militancy in the country. Street protests recently erupted in denouncement of the government following the assassination of the left-wing MP Mohamed Brahmi of the Popular Movement Party, who was assassinated on July 25th. Advancing the nation forward, Prime Minister Ali Larayed has called for a general election in December, while also ruling out the possibility of the government's resignation. After the U.S. State Department issued an announcement on Sunday stating the closure of over 20 of its diplomatic missions in North Africa and the Middle East, U.S. citizens in Yemen have been advised to leave. Reports say the U.S. Air Force has flown a substantial amount of its personnel out of the Yemeni capital of Sana'a as part of the evacuation effort. Limited personnel has been left on the ground in Yemen to allow the State Department to assess the evolution of the situation. The interception of an electronic communication between al-Qaeda chief Ayman al-Zawahiri and the head of the Yemeni affiliate organization Nasser al-Wahasi prompted the high alert of security and intelligence agencies to avert the imminent threat. Fear of coordinated attacks on U.S. citizens and its diplomatic offices has escalated since 2 drone attacks killed 4 suspected al-Qaeda militants in the Yemeni province of Mareb. One of the strikes hit a car with 4 militants inside, while another hit a militant hideout. Tick 2. One of the strikes hit a car with 4 militants inside, while another hit a militant hideout. A total of 6 drone attacks have been carried out in Yemen in the past 6 days.